stop right there. Seriously, just pause for a second. I want you to think about your day today. Or maybe yesterday. If you worked for 10, maybe 12 hours, if you feel completely exhausted, your brain is fried, but your dream project, that big thing, is in the exact same place it was this morning, then I have some really bad news for you. You didn't actually work. You just moved.
It sounds harsh, doesn't it? I mean, that sounds like an insult. But it's a reality check that I think a lot of us really, really need.
It is.
There's this myth in our culture that exhaustion is some kind of badge of honor, but let's just be super clear from the start. Being tired is not the same thing as being successful.
That is a painful realization. I think we've all been there. You feel like you've run a marathon, you're sweating and panting, but you look at the scoreboard and it just says 0.
Exactly.
So what's going on here? Why are we all so tired but stuck?
It's the whole distinction between being busy and being productive. And today, on this deep dive, we're going to completely dismantle that busy day myth. We're going to look at something called the 1% productivity system and what our sources call the architecture of achievement.
I love that name, architecture of achievement. It sounds sturdy.
Yeah. Really?
Like you're building something that actually lasts, not just running around putting out fires.
That's it, exactly. And the mission for this deep dive is to stop you from wasting your life on these empty tasks. We're going to look at why checking boxes on a to-do list might actually be a form of laziness.
Well, wait. Okay, let's unpack that immediately.
Yeah.
You're saying checking boxes on my to-do list is lazy. I have to challenge that. I mean, if I'm checking boxes, I'm doing things, I'm active. How can that possibly be lazy?
You are doing things, yes, but are you doing the right things? And that brings us to the core idea for today, the motion trap.
The motion trap. Okay, define that for me.
Well, there's a massive difference between what the source calls motion and what it calls action. And I think most people spend their entire lives in motion thinking it's action.
But isn't motion action? I mean, if I'm moving, I'm acting.
Not in this context. See, motion is all the stuff that feels like work. It's the planning, the strategizing, it's organizing your desk so you're ready to work. It's checking 100 emails.
Okay, now I feel personally attacked. I love organizing my desk. It makes me feel, prepared. I align the monitors. I move the stapler. You're telling me that's not real work.
It's pre-work, and here's where the trap is. The sources point out this crucial psychological insight. Your brain actually rewards you for this. When you clear an email, your brain gives you a little hit of dopamine. It says, good job, you're being productive.
Right.
But the actual result, in terms of your project, 0.
0. That's rough.
It's a 0 result. Motion is just preparation. It's not the event itself. Now, contrast that with action. Action is the specific behavior that actually gets you a result.
Okay, so let's ground this, because I have to play devil's advocate. If I want to write a book, I have to plan. I have to do some research. I can't just start writing randomly. That's just chaos.
That is a great pushback. And no, the source isn't saying never plan. Planning is useful, but only up to a point. The problem is that most of us use planning as like a safe haven. It's comfortable.
Right.
So let's take an example, like wanting to be a YouTuber. This is a classic one.
Okay. So I want to start a YouTube channel. I need a camera.
Exactly. So you spend a week researching the best cameras. You watch 50 videos on lighting. You buy a microphone. You spend 3 days debating the color scheme for your channel art. All of that is motion.
But I need a camera to record. I can't just record with my imagination.
You do, but buying the camera doesn't produce a video. The action is hitting the record button and talking. The action is editing that file and hitting publish. You can spend a whole year in motion buying all the best gear and never actually produce a single video.
That's a really good point. It's like the law of diminishing returns.
Yeah.
An hour of research is great. 10 hours is just...
It's procrastination wearing a business suit. That's all it is. It's what the source calls productive procrastination.
Okay, what about writing a book?
Same thing. Motion is talking to other authors. It's researching agents. It's outlining your plot for the 10th time.
Or messing with the font settings. I can spend hours finding the perfect font.
Right. And the action is sitting down and writing page 1. The text on the page, that's the only thing that matters.
It seems so obvious when you put it like that.
Yeah.
But why do we do it? Why do smart, ambitious people pick motion when they know it doesn't get results?
Because motion is safe. And this leads to that concept I mentioned earlier, hidden laziness.
Hidden laziness. That sounds like a contradiction. I'm working 12 hours a day. I'm exhausted. How can I possibly be lazy?
You're working hard at the easy stuff. See, motion lets us feel like we're making progress without ever running the risk of failure. If you just outline your book, you can't write a bad chapter.
Oh,
If you just research cameras, you can't make a bad video. We use motion as an escape hatch to avoid the scary, difficult tasks that actually change our lives.
wow. So we're basically staying busy to avoid being effective. We're filling our time with fluff so we don't have to face the fact that the real work might be hard or that we might fail at it.
Precisely. We're hiding in the busyness.
That's a huge aha moment. But it's also a bit overwhelming. If I realize I've been stuck in motion for years, the instinct is to try and fix it all right now, to wake up tomorrow and just grind on action.
And that is exactly what you should not do.
Wait, really? Why not? If I know I'm doing it wrong, shouldn't I stop immediately?
Because that's what the sources call the failure of intensity. We see this all the time, right? Especially around New Year's. People try to change their entire life overnight. They go from 0 to 100.
The classic, I'm going to the gym for 2 hours every single day strategy.
Exactly. And what happens?
It lasts like 4 days, get super sore, get tired, and quit.
They burn out. It's unsustainable. Consistency always, always beats intensity. And this is where we introduce the 1% rule.
The 1% rule. Okay, I've heard this phrase before, but break down the math for us. Because 1% sounds, honestly, it sounds way too slow. I need to get better now.
And that impatience is the enemy.
Yeah.
The 1% rule is just compound interest for your habits. You don't have to move the whole mountain in a day. You just have to get 1% better at your action, not your motion, your action every single day.
But 1% it's invisible.
Oh.
If I write 1% more today, I'm not going to see any difference tomorrow.
You won't, and that's what they call the valley of disappointment. For weeks, it feels like nothing's happening. But the math in the source is undeniable. If you improve by 1% every day, that's 1.01 to the power of 365.
Okay, so what does that come out to?
By the end of 1 year, you are not 100% better. You're roughly 37 times better.
37 times. It's a
And
staggering number.
it is. I mean, think about what that actually looks like. Imagine being 37 times better at speaking a language.
You wouldn't even be the same person.
No. You go from average to unrecognizable. And that's the promise. It's not about suffering. It's about showing up every day and doing just a tiny bit more action than yesterday.
That's so motivating because it takes the pressure off. I don't have to be perfect today. I just have to be a little bit better than I was yesterday.
Exactly. But, and there's always a but, there's a major enemy to this system. You can't get that 1% compound interest if your attention is constantly going bankrupt. We have to talk about focus.
Okay, focus. This is my weak spot. My real vice is my phone. I honestly don't even know how many times I check it a day. If I had to guess,
Maybe 50.
it's probably more.
Yeah.
And the sources give a statistic here that is, well, it's honestly terrifying. It's called the 23-minute penalty.
The 23-minute penalty, what is that?
That's the cost of one interruption. The science shows that every time you're interrupted, every time you glance at a notification, it takes your brain an average of 23 minutes to get back to a state of deep focus. 23 minutes, just from one glance. Come on, I feel like I can multitask. I check a text and I go right back to what I was doing.
You think you can. That's the illusion.
Right.
But your brain doesn't just snap back. There's this lingering cost called attention residue. Part of your brain is still thinking about that text while you're trying to do the main task. You're just operating at a lower capacity.
So let's do the math on that. If I check my phone, I don't know, just 3 times in an hour, which is probably...
Which is pretty conservative for most people, by the way.
Yeah, which is super conservative for me. So what is that?
Well, if you check it 3 times, that's 3 times 23 minutes. That's 69 minutes. It's more than the hour itself.
So I am effectively never in a state of focus.
Exactly. You're permanently skimming the surface. This is why you can sit at your desk for 10 hours and feel like you did nothing because you had no deep focus time to actually perform action.
That is horrifying. It completely reframes the phone. It's not just a distraction. It's a saboteur. It's actively preventing me from getting that compound interest.
The source calls the phone a thief. It steals your future. Every notification is just stealing a little bit of that compound interest.
Okay, so we know the problem. We're stuck in motion. We're relying on intensity, and our distractions are robbing our focus. So what's the solution? The architecture of achievement.
Right.
How do we build it? Because life is messy. It's hard to just be focused.
It starts with a simple comparison the source provides. The busy person versus the productive person.
Let's do it. What's the busy person look like?
The busy person says yes to everyone. They have a messy, long to-do list, like 20 items, and they focus on motion emailing, organizing, planning.
Sounds like, well, most people I know, myself included, it feels good to say yes, like your team player.
But if you say yes to everyone else's priorities, you have no room for your own. Now, the productive person, they say no. They say no to protect their focus. They don't have a list of 20 things. They have clear, limited goals, and they focus strictly on results, on action.
That no part is so hard, but I get it. You can't have deep focus if you're acting as a receptionist for everyone else's problems.
And that leads us to the practical fix. The system is called the Rule of Three.
The Rule of Three. Is that as simple as it sounds?
It is, and that's why it's so powerful. The instruction is to just throw away that long list. If you wake up with 20 things to do, you're already set up to fail. You'll just do the easy motion tasks.
So what do I do instead?
Every morning, you pick only 3 big actions. Just 3.
Okay, I have to be the skeptic again. 3 things. That sounds lovely, but I have a boss. I have clients. If I just do 3 things and ignore everything else, I am going to get fired. How does this survive contact with reality?
That's the most common fear. But the Rule of Three isn't about ignoring the world. It's about prioritization. It's admitting you can't do 20 things well. The philosophy is if you finish those 3 big actions, the 3 scary things that actually move the needle, you win the day.
Win the day. I like that.
Everything else you do after that, the emails, the meetings, that's just bonus. You handle it, but you don't let it push out the 3 big rocks.
So you do the big 3 first thing in the morning.
Ideally, yeah. You block out that time and it becomes sacred. If you get those 3 done, you've succeeded. You've logged your 1% improvement for the day.
It changes the definition of success from emptying the list to doing what's important.
Exactly. And this brings us to the final piece, the difference between motivation and systems. We often wait until we feel like working.
Right. I'm just not in the mood to write today.
And that's a trap. Motivation is just a feeling. It's like the weather. You can't build a career on a feeling. The Rule of Three is a system, and systems produce results no matter how you feel.
So even if I'm tired or uninspired, I can still just look at my Rule of Three, do the first one, and I'm moving forward.
Precisely. You stop relying on willpower and start relying on the architecture.
This has really shifted my whole perspective. I came into this thinking I just need to work harder. But the reality is, I might need to work less on fewer things, but things that actually matter.
You need to stop moving and start acting. That's the core of it. Motion kills dreams. Action builds them.
So for you listening right now, what does this all mean? We talked about the motion trap hiding in busy work. We talked about the 1% rule small consistency beating big intensity.
And the 23-minute penalty and the Rule of Three. But here's the thing. Knowledge without application is just, well, it's just more motion, isn't it? Listening to this is motion unless you do something about it.
Oh, that's a good point. We don't want to be another form of hidden laziness for you. I listened to a podcast about productivity, so now I'm productive. No, you just listen to people talk.
Exactly. So here's the challenge. Don't wait. What is the one action, not motion, not planning, but real action that you will take today to be 1% better?
Just one thing. Maybe it's sending that scary email. Maybe it's writing the first paragraph. Maybe it's just making that call.
Whatever it is, identify it. And here's how to make it real. Write that action in the comments.
Yes, if you're listening and you want to practice your English and your productivity at the same time, put it in the comments. Today, my one action is, and fill in the blank.
It forces you to commit. And remember, the goal isn't perfection. The goal is to stop being busy and start being productive.
The promise is that in 30 days, if you stick to this, you could be unrecognizable.
It's just math, 1% a day, the compound interest of action.
So stop organizing the desk. Put down the phone, pick your 3 things.
And get to work. Let's go.